Lord Buddha has many levels of disciples. Some are very simple, some are very intelligent, some are not very intelligent, some have a lot of merits, some have imprints from previous Buddhas before him that are ready to open up now with his teachings. Some are very new. Some in this life, even hearing the teachings will not make a difference in their life. So Lord Buddha, during his time, had many levels of students. You have to understand, they go into hundreds of thousands. And some of the students are not human. They belong to the Naga world, or the spirit world, or the realm of gods that we cannot see. So he has many levels of students. Some already have practiced with previous Buddhas to a very high level. Some are just stepping up. So if Buddha was to give a teaching, one teaching, it would not suit these people. If he was to give these teachings, it would not suit these people. If he gave these teachings, it would not suit these people. So therefore, he had to give different level in different class of teachings to help the different types of students and beings that came to him, human and non-human. And sometimes, Buddha had to be in 2 or 3 or 4 places at the same time. So the Buddha has 3 different types of bodies. He has a normal human body, he has an enjoyment body, and he has an ultimate body. He has 3 Buddhas, so don't be concerned about that. 3 bodies, don't be concerned about that. So therefore, because he has the power of the 3 types of bodies, they're called kayas, he can multiply his body in many places. Because he can multiply his body in many places, his body can teach simultaneously to different students at different times. So the bodies that the Buddha emanated are not puppets. So if he's in South India, in Central India, and North India teaching, if he's actually in North India but he's emanated 2 bodies in Central and South India, he doesn't have to control and tell them what to do. They operate on their own. Because why? It's his own emanation of his own enlightened mind. So therefore, the teachings here can be taught on one level, the teachings here can be taught on another level, and the teachings here can be taught on another level. And simultaneously, his body can be in the God realm to teach on another level. It can be simultaneous. So the Kala Chakra teachings are one set of teachings that belong to the highest level of teachings that Buddha taught to very advanced disciples. Disciples who are ready. Therefore, these Kala Chakra teachings are a set of teachings associated with the Kala Chakra Deity that help us to transform our anger, our desire, and our hatred into Buddha nature. So what happens was, when he taught these teachings, everybody who practices the Kala Chakra teachings, some will become a Buddha in one life, some a few lifetimes, some cannot, some will. Some even practice, they go to worse places because they actually don't practice, but they pretend they are. So what happens is that for these people who practice very hard, there's a special place that they can be reborn in. This place is a place that you can only see, hear, taste, and touch only by karmic affinity. Example, in Chinese, some people have the third eye, they can see spirits. There are spirits in this room right now. Some of us can see, some of us cannot. I know people who, even they don't want this kind of ability, but they have the ability. They can see spirits everywhere. But just as you cannot see doesn't mean they don't exist. Okay, now, the Shambhala is a place that agriculture is very easy. Living is more easy. Health has no problems. Life is very long, and the place is governed and ruled by good ethics and good human ethics. And so what happens is, when we practice the Kala Chakra teachings, we create an affinity that when we die, we can be reborn in a place called Shambhala. When we're reborn in a place called Shambhala, the Shambhala place is a place where they practice Dharma very strong, and the necessity to practice Dharma is very easy. Example, getting food, house, teachings, health, long life, All these problems are not a problem in this place. So when we go there, when we reincarnate there, it's very easy for us to practice Dharma and attain the results. Some more the kings of Shambhala are considered emanations of Manjushri. The kings of Shambhala, the first king, actually, the kings of Shambhala actually, during Buddha's time, actually traveled from their kingdom to Lord Buddha to receive the teachings on Kala Chakra. And they brought the teachings back to Shambhala and practiced it. And this king became a Bodhisattva king, where he taught his subjects the Kala Chakra teachings. And when he taught the Kala Chakra teachings, Buddha's teachings, many people in his society became very highly advanced. So this king passed it to his son, to his son, to his son. Until now, I don't know the number of kings now, I think 21st king, something like that, we're in the reign of the 21st king. In that kingdom, where the kings still are the teachers of the people, they practice Dharma, they have enlightened rule. So when we practice the Kala Chakra teachings, we develop a very strong and special affinity to be reborn in that place. Now the difference is this, that Shambhala place is a place existing on this earth. And it is said to reside somewhere in the Himalayas. It is not Tibet. It is said to reside somewhere in the Himalayas, that if we have karmic affinity, when we go there, we can find it. Therefore, from Shambhala comes the word Shangri-La. Shangri-La means a place where there's no suffering, it doesn't get old, there's no treachery, the people there are nice, and it's in the Himalayan mountains. In fact, Western Hollywood has made movies about Journey to Shangri-La, where they go there, people are very nice, and it's ruled by a High Lama. We've heard that. That legend is based on Shambhala teachings. Alright, that's one. There are some High Lamas who, when they die, they reincarnate there and they reside there. And when the time is right, they again emanate out and reincarnate in other places to teach. So what happens is, His Holiness the Dalai Lama gives the Kala Chakra teachings all over the world, maybe once or twice a year, all over to hundreds of thousands of people. Why? To make them connect to this kingdom, to bless them. That's one. Okay, the outer kingdom of Shambhala is this place that we can take rebirth in if we make a karmic connection by Dharma practice. That's one. Number two, if we change our mind, everywhere we live becomes a Shambhala. Why? Difficulties, we say thank you. Happiness, we don't become attached. And we always abide in a mind of non-treachery, of kindness, and thinking about the other person first, and giving advice that's beneficial, and using our lives to benefit others on many levels. A person who has those qualities, we say that they have the inner Shambhala. So the inner Shambhala represents the outer Shambhala, because the outer Shambhala is a place without treachery, without unhappiness, without foolish people. It's a place without that. So if you have Shambhala in you, it means you are a person without those negative qualities. So when we practice the Dharma, it represents to achieve that type of state where we are and not to wait to be born over there to achieve it. That's one, understand? Number two is, His Eminence Chögyam Trungpa Rinpoche was a special holder and practitioner of the Shambhala teachings, according to what I read. And therefore, he propagated the teachings of Shambhala and to take rebirth there. But he was more concerned not for people to die to take rebirth in Shambhala. He was more interested in people creating Shambhala in their mind now. So when he did calligraphy, the ash symbol and how he wrote it and how he drew it, when we see it, it reminds us of Shambhala and to develop the Shambhala in us. That's what it means. If you know the meaning of Shambhala, then when you see that, it reminds you. Example, when you see your house key, does it remind you of your house? Do you know everything inside? Yeah. You know how many rooms you have, what you have inside a room, what you have, it's just a key. But if you show me your house key, will I know what's in your house? Will I know? Of course not. But because you know your house, when you see the key, it symbolizes what's inside. So if you know the Dharma, if you see that stroke, you will know what that represents, and they remind you. Okay? 1. Number 2, because that stroke represents enlightened mind, when we see that calligraphy or that stroke, it isn't just symbolism to remember something, it also plants a seed in our mind to achieve it. So it's enlightened calligraphy. There's a difference. A person who understands the Dharma gets reminded to practice. A person who doesn't understand gets a seed planted in their mind for the future to practice. Subliminal messaging. Subliminal. Why? Because the character doesn't represent just some normal human symbols. It represents a state of the enlightened mind. Shambhala. So, the Shambhala Set of Teachings is particularly related to the Kala Chakra Deity and the Kala Chakra Cycle of Teachings. The Kala Chakra is Buddha's direct emanation of a tangible deity that has a set of meditations that help us again to transform our passions into higher thoughts and to gain control of our rebirth. Yes, it really is. Example, the master lineage holder of the Kala Chakra teachings today is His Holiness the Dalai Lama. The Dalai Lama, if you read his previous books from his previous life, has full control over when he's going to die and what's going to happen and where he will take it. Full control. This one is not one or two people, it's understood. When the Dalai Lama's new incarnation is enthroned by the government of Tibet and he's strictly tested. He's tested with things from his previous life, matched together with things that are similar, and a young child must pick out from memory what was his that belonged to him. That's one test he needs to go through. Another test is they need to consult the oracles and high lamas who do divination separately, and their divination must match the exact same void without knowing what the other lamas have tested. And finally, the oracles themselves consulted. The Dharma protectors of Tibet will enter a medium, the biggest one, and will identify the void clearly. So all these things must match. When these three things match, it confirms that this is the real reincarnation of the dead person. They are enthroned. Once they're enthroned, they're put in for special training. Excel quick speed training to continue the work in their previous life. That's right. And the Dalai Lama is one example of highly attained practitioners. There are many, not only in Tibet. It's impossible, it's only in Tibet. Impossible. And not only on this planet.